Welcome to Following Funnel Force. I'm Brent Stone, and I'm here with Carrie Klamut, and we're excited to jump into another episode here. Carrie, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, happy to keep moderating your journey and your storytelling.
Well, we really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So thank you so much. And where are we going to go today, Carrie? Take us on a journey. Where are we
Yeah,
going?
so it sounds like last time that we are in the last episode, we were really talking about kind of like what brought you to the point that you're really at now, which is kind of where you've seen this really fast-paced growing success. And we kind of, filled in the backstory of like how you got here. But now we're going to talk about, like exactly what's happening and what the product even is that you offer. So maybe
Sure.
maybe that'll be the first place that we jump in, if that sounds okay.
Sounds great.
Cool. So let's just kind of like give an overall highlight and kind of a very high level sales pitch, if you will. What is the product that you all are seeing that has small businesses really intrigued about what you're doing?
Well, that's pretty easy. That's programmatic display advertising. We touched on it last time. That just seems to be it's interesting. A lot of people are the first thing that they want to cut out of their budget is advertising, but everyone knows they need to do it in some capacity, and that's just a really good door opener if you understand how the product works and what to use. Our other product or service that marries with programmatic display is our very robust CRM software. And that is where we really get to jump in and help people rework their sales operations almost, because we can make their salespeople more efficient if the salespeople can be open-minded to just maybe changing how they input into CRM, and we can automate some of their busy tasks. And I mean, if companies are going to be advertising, you want to have a good back end sales process. So as leads come in, your sales team can follow up, give your customers a really great experience, whether it's through automations or an actual physical person. And most of the time, when it's done correctly, your customer doesn't know the difference. If it's not done correctly, well, then it's disjointed and you lose sales, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to help marry those two things together so people can have the really fancy advertising strategy with the back end and cradling those customers and nurturing those customers. Once you sell them your product or service, as the small business owner or medium business owner, you sell your product or service, you want to be able to then begin your relationship. It's not over once they buy, it begins. And so our software helps nurture the relationship as well. And so it really does help the salesperson if they if they use something like our ProForce, because it has a whole array of different services that they can take care of the customer.
Yeah. So let's back up maybe for just a second, because I feel like a lot of people that are listening, they probably have heard programmatic display advertising. They've probably heard CRM used, in language, but maybe let's just like, let's kind of let everybody know, what do you mean by programmatic display advertising, and what does that look like for Funnel Force? Like, let's just go with like a basic definition.
Sure. So if anyone has a cell phone, which I'm sure most everyone watching this does, or you're probably watching or listening to this on your cell phone, if you open up any of your apps and any apps that you've downloaded from either the Apple platform or Google platform, you're going to have more than likely ads unless you're paying for a paid ad or paid app. And what we actually do with programmatic display ads, we can actually track people's cellular devices in certain cases where we can actually drop ads into the apps. So if it's, and a lot of people hear that and they're like, yeah, but you're not going to get me with those ads. But they're thinking like we only have like gaming apps. But the problem is that we have a lot of opportunity to capture sets of eyeballs, because, like the weather app, well, I should say plural, because we have agreements with over 700,000 app companies. So there's a very high probability that you're probably going to see our clients' ads if you walk anywhere within a geofence that we've drawn for our clients. There really, if unless your web browser's off and you have location services off, and I think I have to ask Glenn, but there's one other thing that we can still
Mm-hmm.
capture, even if the things are
Mm-hmm.
off. Our back end data aggregator collects over 1 billion data points a day. So we know how to like leverage this data and, distribute out through the geofencing, and we can hold on to people's data for a long time legally. We have back end licenses to be able to allow us to do these things. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
And then when you talk about the CRM, kind of what is your definition of CRM? I know most people say client or constituent relationship management, but what does that even mean?
Well, I mean, for me, it's not wooing your prospect until they buy and then off to the next prospect, which unfortunately, a lot of salespeople look at it like that. It actually, for us, is, if the salesperson is really good, they take care of the wooing of the prospect or the potential customer on the front end. The CRM really is to help assist them with not dropping the ball and reaching out when they say they're going to reach out. So you have your schedule in there, you have automations where if a customer reaches out to you or your company, they get an immediate response that's automated, but it sounds like a person, just so they know that you're going to get to their question or their concern or respond to the sale they just made immediately. And even if you can't physically do it in that moment because you're in a meeting or something like that, all these things, you can set automation and triggers to have customers go through certain workflows depending upon if they buy a product, if they have a question, if they've got some kind of, they're trying to troubleshoot something from a technical side. We've got stuff built in to automate even that process. If they're leveraging, your software product or service or whatever the case may be, you can have them walk through automations to help that. And a lot of times they think that they're dealing with a person because it's so it's designed in a way to be so. And you want to be able to have a good user experience on the back end so that not only do they stay with you a long time, but they buy more from you. Because if you're a business that has probably, you've got something that they've bought, you probably have other supporting products or services that are going to help increase the value of that first product or service that they've already purchased. If you don't have a good back-end follow-up, and if you don't have a good relationship that you nurture, they won't buy more from you in the future. In fact, they're probably already looking to jump to a competitor of yours. And so what CRM does is it actually not only helps you sell, but it helps you keep your clients and helps them buy more. So if you have a really good CRM system, it does those things. Plus, ours brings in a lot of other things for the business, for our clients, where we can bring in QuickBooks, and we can bring in social media platforms, and we can bring in tying in different websites, funnel systems, all into one place, and then we can help automate these things. We've also paid a lot of expensive people to help us code in artificial intelligence into certain aspects of what our platform has, so that we can not only have those built into the autoresponders, and we can prompt these AI bots to essentially be very specific to a business with their specific client base. Or if we've got well, anyway, we can talk about I can get into the weeds on this and talk for a long time. So
Yeah.
just stop me if I start going too far into one direction. That I'm getting away from your question, so I want to be
Yeah,
conscious of that.
no, I
So,
think why are business owners so interested in this right now, and why have you seen so many that are jumping on board and purchasing this type of service from you?
well, okay, so that's a great question. Well, here's I'm going to answer it in a way to where our listeners that are maybe interested in starting their own like agency or their own advertising business locally, like the local. I'm going to emphasize the local side. Here's why that it's relevant to them, but also to answer your question, because there's not someone local that I've run into in our town that's basically going around and actually selling the product face to face. And so there's a lot of companies out there where a business owner will get on and in a fit of anger, they'll just go and search, to basically replace what they currently have because they're just so fed up with it not being user friendly. And literally they're paying a subscription by seat. And Glenn and I, when we basically sought out the product to basically adopt initially to get us up and off the ground and do what we were doing, we wanted something that A, would be easy to do fulfillment on, but B, we could handle problems and concerns right away if we had clients that had issues. Plus, the churn rate in this space is 2%. In CRM type of vertical that we're in. So we already know that clients aren't going to leave us if we do, number one, if we do a good job, but two, statistically, they're not going to leave us. So if we get them with us and if we can just keep them happy, they're not going to leave us. Plus, if we do a great job, then they're going to buy other things like advertising from us and other services that we do offer. So now we've seen that with our lead generation service that we've brought in because we've hired people to kind of take that on. So we've scaled to a point where we can now offer another product and service, which is the lead gen, which I won't talk about too much, but that's really taken off in a really big way. But we've also scaled to a point where we can do that.
And what feedback are you getting from the business owners who have actually like purchased the products?
That it saves them money on subscriptions that they would have been paying with other services because we can try to cut down. I think on one of our initial funnels that we built, I think Glenn had on there was like 15 different products or services. If you're like a web-based company, that you could totally eliminate if you just use Proforce. So not only are you going to make your sales staff more efficient, but you're going to save hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month in just other subscriptions that you would have needed. So that is an appealing thing to be able to represent.
It's like a bundle
for people.
package.
And so, yeah. And the cool thing is that most of the businesses that we're talking to about this, they have no idea that something like this exists, which is why I think it's really pertinent to the local agency owner, because if you're just going to go around and you're going to create, face-to-face interactions with people, you're going to gain opportunities to be able to share how you can help make their life a lot better. I mean, who doesn't want to sell that? And you can do it through software. And a lot of people, they just don't know that this really exists. I mean, as a small business owner myself and other areas outside of Funnel Force, it's, how do people not want to minimize the time in managing the business and maximize their profits? Everyone wants that. It's just, yeah totally.
And what kind of revenue are you guys bringing in with this right now?
So we have been really fortunate lately because we've had more and more testimonials come in over 2022. We had our first 6-figure year in 2022 and we started in 2021. So we started October of 2021 and then we hit the 6-figure mark last year, and we've gotten to the point to where baby 6 figures. I mean, we basically generated around 135,000, call it that, gross, which is not a lot. A lot of people listen to this and be like, well, that's not a lot. Well, keep in mind, this is a company that started October of 21, where we did around 30,000 in the couple months before December. We spent a lot of money making bad decisions. And what's really interesting is that this year in 23, just in Q1, we have on the books basically $100,000 as of the end of Q1 for the rest of the year. Like if we didn't do anything else, we'd almost be to where we finished 2022. And now we're a couple months into Q2 and we've made a lot more sales. And so we're really on pace to more than quadruple, which is really exciting. And so Glenn will update me every other week or so with kind of where we're at. And we've started bringing on salespeople, which is, so I'm only assuming that we're going to grow faster and faster. We're in the process of training 2 right now, and we have a 3rd getting ready to be onboarded in the next week or so, and it's exciting.
Yeah. And so, what's the motivation for you to share this with others who might want to build their own local agency outside of Virginia?
Well, what's really cool is that I have a background in network marketing, even though I don't build that anymore. So the whole idea was to be able to do something really good yourself and then teach as many people as you can because you benefit off that. Well, I wanted to carry some of that thought process into this business where, we could do something really well ourselves and have a system that we build and kind of test on ourselves, beta test it with ourselves, and now go out and teach other people how to have a local business in their city, town, wherever. And they can have a good, respectable, predictable business that they could sell eventually or pass on to kids or whatever, because advertising is a great industry, but then there's the software side, right? And then once you get good at some of those key things, which people listening to this, you don't have to do the software and the advertising. You could do SEO, you could do social media management, you could do some of those things, which Glenn has he's got a background specialty in social media management, so he's done some of that and he's done it at a high level, and he's got multiple testimonials for doing that really, really, really well. But we didn't start off doing the social media management. That's something else that he added in later once we had the bandwidth to be able to do it, and we had a good reputation for advertising and for the software. So there's some things there that now that we've gotten to a point to where we can keep growing, we want to turn around and say, hey, we've had this success, how can we help you do this? And no matter where you live, and I say no matter where you live, but really we're looking at US and maybe Canada. I mean, we've got some other business associates up in Canada and clients and whatnot, but we're trying to keep most of it North America
Okay.
based.
And what is this like coaching format going to look like for people who, sign up to have a local agency in their market?
So there's going to be a few different product offering levels, if you want to call it that. But the first thing that we're really pushing right now that we've had a lot of response for is our group coaching cohort. It's called, the official title is a local agency blueprint coaching program. And we're going to have live calls on a weekly basis, either Glenn or myself or both. And twice a month, we're going to have some Q&A live, where people can ask like real questions. We can't like hide behind a script. Like if you ask the hard question and we're live, we answer it. So that's going to get interesting, I'm sure. But we also are going to have training curriculum that we walk people through over the course of a year. And the cohort model is really, really cool, because if you sign up and there's only 3 people in the cohort, you're going to get a lot of our time dedicated to you. If there's 30 people, you're still going to get some of our time, but it's going to be spread. We're going to be training inside of a group. So if people are asking questions during the Q&A calls, there's limited time, right? So it'd be really beneficial for people to sign up, because I think the first cohort that we do is probably going to be the smallest, if I had to guess. And we're launching that, I want to say Glenn said July 1st. So we're in 2023. So if you're listening to this and it's past that date, just go in and you can sign up on our wait list, because we're in the process of building those out right now. So we have a wait list currently that we're going through, and we're vetting the people to be in, because a lot of people are probably thinking, well, if you have a wait list and this is going to be the smallest one, how does that, that doesn't compute. We're making sure that the people that come into the cohorts actually match who we're trying to serve. So just because somebody signs up to be in the cohort and they've got the money to do it, doesn't mean that they're going to get into the cohort. There is actually a vetting process that we're taking people through, because we want this to be good for everyone involved. We don't want someone to come into the cohort that just destroys group dynamics because they have a different business expectation in mind. And we want to make sure that everyone's on the same page before it kicks off, because we're going to be spending a year with people. So like, that's a long time. And so that's the idea.
Cool. And then I guess just, the last question before we wrap up is, how do people learn more, and where do you want to send them?
That is something that, as a marketing person, I would probably have already set up. Glenn is actually, he's built that stuff, and I don't even have that in front of me, to be really honest. Isn't that sad? No, if people go to the Funnel Force Facebook page and they say, hey, I've heard the podcast, Brent was talking about joining the next cohort. I'd like to sign up on the wait list. Brent, Glenn, read this. get back to me. Literally, one of us will reach out to you directly and book a time to get a conversation going. And then Glenn's also, we're going to build a wait list calendar system so people can actually like book calls
Okay.
on our calendar, and then we can get to them as soon as possible. So we'll post that. We'll post details of that on the Facebook page.
Well, thanks. Anything else you wanted to say before we
thank you so
wrap
much.
up?
No, I think that's good. I don't want to go over time, so we'll fill in more on the next episode. All right, thanks, Carrie. Have an awesome day, guys, girls. Thank you for tuning in.